Is your deck looking a bit tired? Maybe you stepped outside onto your patio and noticed that it could use some freshening up. Well, today I'm going to talk about a product by Behr designed to do just that. Today we're putting the product spotlight on Behr Premium Advanced DeckOver. I want to tell you what it's designed to do, some pros, and of course, some cons of the product. There are a lot of conflicting opinions going around, so what I want to do is present as much relevant information so you can make the best decision for you. I'm James from thepaintpeople.com, and I hope to provide you with an overview on many products that I've used over my years of experience. As part of my family painting business, which has been operating close to 40 years, we've tried practically every product under the sun. When the weather gets nicer outside, it's usually a great idea to capitalize and get some outdoor renovations done. Exterior surfaces usually require additional preparation and upkeep when compared to interior ones, largely due to them being constantly exposed to the elements. From sun to snow to sleet, exterior walls, frames, and decks take a thrashing from Mother Nature. If you've clicked this video, I'm going to assume that you have some knowledge about deck painting and staining. If you're one of those people that have no clue, I'll be sure to leave some information down in the description, and stay tuned later on in this video where I'll be giving you some tips and tricks that'll help set you up for success. There are many different ways to refinish a deck. You have paints, solid stains, semi-transparent stains, sealers, etc. Behr Premium Advanced DeckOver is a 100% acrylic product that is designed to be used on wooden decks, but also concrete surfaces. It is not a solid stain, but rather feels more like a thick paint product. You can get it made in 54 different colors too, and you know, we love color on this channel, so it's perfect. On Spotlight, we feel it's important to cover all bases. So let's go over some pros, some cons, and a few tips that'll hopefully help you with your project. Starting with the pros. It's smooth finish. When I say smooth, I mean it. I mentioned earlier that it feels a bit like a thicker paint when you're using it, and it's that thickness that gives it its competitive advantage. What it does better than a lot of other products is level out any micro cracks or splinters, creating a smooth, non-slip, and water-resistant finish. After applying your second coat, even cracks up to a 1/4 inch, allegedly, will be filled. And this is a huge plus, especially if you have kids or pets, because you don't want them to be hurting themselves on any rogue splinters or jagged parts. If you were to use a simple sealer, on the other hand, it'll essentially just conform to the wood that it's being used on and won't quite have that same crack-filling capability. Easy touch-ups. Exterior deck paint is almost never a set-it-and-forget-it experience. As important as good prep is, so is proper upkeep. By checking in every 6 months or so, you can see if there are any spots that could use a bit of a touch-up to preserve the seal. Touch-ups couldn't be any simpler with DeckOver. I usually recommend a very light power wash to remove any bacteria, let it dry completely for at least 72 hours, and then brush in the spots that could use that little touch-up. It's water-based. Water-based products are a joy because they're usually easy to work with and way easier to clean up. You don't need to worry about any smelly thinners to deal with. In fact, Behr specifically says not to use any thinners with DeckOver, and they said it all in caps, so you know they mean business. It's coverage. A gallon of this stuff finishes about 75 square feet of space, which isn't a whole lot, but when applied, DeckOver goes on very nicely and covers up any unsightly wood. With a transparent finish, you'll still see the wood grain underneath, which could be problematic if you have an older deck that's maybe a bit unsightly. If that's the case, then you may want to pay attention to the next part of this video where we go into some of DeckOver's cons. Extensive prep required. This is not a miracle product. Oftentimes people will resort to deck paints as they will conceal visual flaws better than a stain would. That being said, if some of the wood planks that you're painting on are already compromised with rot and decay, then this product won't help you. In addition to all the necessary cleaning, sanding, and perhaps priming that I might recommend prior to painting, you also would want to replace any tired and deteriorated wood planks to set yourself up for success. I know, it's tedious, and maybe defeats the purpose of acquiring a product that's supposed to be relatively simple to use. But if you take shortcuts in the prep process, you will expose yourself to all sorts of problems down the road. It doesn't penetrate. As much as I love the beautiful coating that DeckOver can provide, part of the issue is it just sits on top of your deck. Some stains, on the other hand, will penetrate the wood deeply, which will allow the wood to breathe, and more importantly, for moisture to escape. Moisture is not your friend with wooden decks, and if any of that moisture gets underneath that coating of DeckOver, it will be stuck there and cause all sorts of problems. Not only do you have to worry about the paint coming off, but you could also ruin the wood altogether. Your deck is your castle, and DeckOver are your castle walls. They do a great job at keeping everyone out until a single part is compromised, and then the floodgates are open. It's so important to keep that consistent seal secure. So let's discuss some ways to prevent this from happening. Other than being nice and clean, your surface needs to be completely dry. Even decks that feel dry to the touch could have a lot of moisture caught inside, and this is especially prevalent after being power washed. Give it as much time to dry in the sun as possible. If you can manage at least 72 hours of drying time, that should suffice, but honestly, the more drying time, the better. Moisture can also get into the wood after application, and two of the most common places where this happens is in edges and cracks. Whenever you're coating your deck, make sure all edges of it are covered so that it's fully sealed and fully encased in that coating. So yes, that means painting the top of the planks, the sides, and even the bottom, especially if your deck is closer to the ground. This full wrap will protect the wood and keep that moisture out. Also, as the temperature outside rises and lowers, the wood expands and contracts, which could lead to small cracks. You really want to catch these early and touch them up. Solve a minor issue before it becomes a massive one. Honestly, there are so many things to consider when painting a deck. That's for another video. A ton of variables involved where one slight deviation can mean the difference between a finish lasting 6 months or 6 years. Your results may vary, but if you follow all the necessary steps to a T, you'll put yourself in the best possible position for success. We do 2 videos every single week on this channel, one about color, and videos like this that talk about products and the more technical side of painting. If you like this type of content, like the video for me, will ya? Also, consider subscribing if you haven't already. It's free after all. That's it for this product spotlight on Behr Premium Advanced DeckOver. See you on the next one.